All right, this is Edward Lambert with the Effective Demand Research, and this is another video on the circular flow. Now, the circular flow is basically how money flows through the economy using the national accounts like consumption, government spending, investment, net exports. We start here at the beginning where the firms pay out income, and they can pay out income to labor or they pay out income to capital. That's why you get the every 3 months there's data for labor income and capital income, the labor share of income and the capital share of income. Now, labor will use its money in certain ways and capital will use money in the same ways, but differently. Labor basically consumes, they have a high consumption rate. Capital has a lower consumption rate. Capital saves more. They save for investment. Labor saves less. Now, what I want to show here is this is a dynamic model. This is a dynamic model of the circular flow, which means that as the money flows through the economy, it ends up more. See how this is different, where it starts out with $15.6 trillion in income, GDP income, or GDI, you might say, going into the economy, and that money is spent and invested and becomes 15.66 trillion going into the firms. So the firms paid out that much, but they received more. Now, that's normally how the economy grows, from one round of the circular flow to another. The money gets injected in. Now, how does the money get injected in? Starts out 15.599 trillion coming into the economy, and then it goes to labor, goes to capital, and they got consumption, net taxes, savings, imports for both. And as you can see, this whole line will add up to 15.599 trillion, just like it started out. And then these get consolidated into the total. And these numbers also 1599. And then they go through the financial sector. And they come out to 15.662. So through the workings of the financial sector, which injects money for government borrowing or more exports or for increased investment, because this investment number here comes from the national account, the financial sector injects money into the economy. That's kind of what the Federal Reserve wants it to do. It wants it to inject money into the economy, increase investment, or whatever it needs to do to increase GDP. So what you see is it starts at this number, and as it goes through the flow, the financial sector injects in and increases it by the end. So you can see the consumption stays the same. So it's really just the financial sector increasing and injecting money that increases GDP. Now in this dynamic model, what I will do is do a goal seek. Show you how this is done. So this is a goal seek, so I set this cell down here, I want it to go to 0. Which means as the rounds continue, eventually there's an equilibrium that sets up. That's why it's called a dynamic model, because a dynamic will go towards an equilibrium constant. Now what I want to do is I want to change the initial value. So this initial value is going to change to the point where the beginning and the ending reach that equilibrium real GDP. So we do it. As you can see, 16.1 trillion now becomes the dynamic equilibrium of the economy, the way it's set up right now. And as this model is particularly set up right now to show that this is the effective demand limit. The way the constructs are set up here as far as the marginal propensities to consume, marginal propensities to save, net taxes, all that is set up so that as the economy goes through its rounds, with the financial sector injecting as it's injecting, there's going to be an equilibrium set up at $16.116 trillion for real GDP. And then that becomes the effective demand limit. Because it's at that point that financial sector injections, which are continuing at the same rate, marginal propensity to invest has not changed. It's still at 16%. If I take this back to the beginning, you'll see that the marginal propensity to invest is still 16%. So there reaches a point where the marginal propensity to invest stays the same, it's a constant, and we arrive at an equilibrium real GDP. Now, I can play with this a little bit more in other videos, and I will, but just leave it at that for now. Okay.